Welcome back to this episode of my podcast, Salon Confidential. And look who's in my chair today is the divine Jeremy Langmead. You are a journalist, you are an editor, a style guru, and I think you make us all look better, all the men in the world, right? Is that correct?
I try.
You try, well, you succeed. Well, thank you so much for coming on
Thanks
and
for having me.
welcome. How are we today?
I am good, thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Very good to hear. So I ask all my guests. The first question is,
Uh-oh, yeah.
your hair icon. Is there someone in your life you look at their hair and you go like, yes, that's the one.
I think so. I think it's changed. I think when I was young, my hair icon, I was completely in love with David Sylvian from the group Japan.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
And yeah,
Big in Japan.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, no, it was
No?
Night Porter.
Everyone is shaking their head.
No, lovely,
grew up in
lovely
Germany,
song, but
okay?
not his. But
Okay.
it was in the 80s, and he had this beautiful blonde quiff and
Yeah.
very beautiful. He used to wear sort of white porcelain makeup and purple eyeshadow, red lips, and he would wear black, and it was always very moody. And his hair, he was called at the time the most beautiful man in the world,
Oh.
and this peroxide blonde hair was exquisite. And then after him, I quickly moved on to. I became a Duran Duran fan.
All right.
And I really loved, in retrospect, I'm not quite sure why, but I really loved Nick Rhodes, the keyboardist.
Yeah.
And it was sort of spiky and orange and straggly and long at the back. It was quite awful, really.
Okay.
But I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I remember dyeing my hair, which was supposed to go blonde, but went bright orange.
Okay. So you got to look.
So I had a look. Slightly David Bowie Aladdin Sane by mistake. And then I remember thinking I'd have to go and get his haircut from the hairdresser.
Yeah.
And I was at a boarding school in Ipswich, but I was too embarrassed to say to the hairdresser, I want Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran's hair. So I cut his hair out from a magazine, but I cut his face out as well. So I just took this really spindly bit of cut out hair and said, can I have that, please? And
Yeah.
she did quite a good
Did you
job.
get it?
I did, yeah. And
Good.
I did keep it for a couple of years.
So if you're listening, the lovely lady who did that for
Yeah.
you, congratulations.
She-
Happy customer.
She was very clever. Now, I think, as you get older, I just envy those people with long, dark, Byronic curls. And I don't know, like, I mean, Timothy Chalamet before he just shaved
Well,
his
yeah,
hair off.
everybody loves it.
Or Aaron Taylor Johnson. That
Yeah.
really thick, beautiful, curly, dark brown hair that I'd love to have so much hair that I had to hire someone who did topiary rather than a hairdresser to cut it. That would be my
Well, like,
ideal.
can you thin it out? I think it's still too thick. That's what I
Yeah.
always would love to say. Just thin it out a little bit more because I still
Yeah.
have too much hair, but sadly,
Well, you've got
just-
curls. I wanted curls. I never had curls.
yeah, I never liked my curls, but that's how it is, obviously. So, but that's actually the next question. What was your worst hair experience? Did you ever had a moment when you thought, oh,
Well, I think two. There was one that was probably about 10 years ago, and I can't remember. I was having my photo taken for something, so I thought I'll go and get my hair done quickly.
yeah,
And I thought they'd done it quite nicely. And then when the photos came back, the guy who was doing PR for Mr. Porter and I looked at the photos and we just cried with laughter because there's this famous children's book and it's called something like The Little Mole basically it's about a mole who wakes up one morning and someone's done a poo on his head. And the whole book is very sweet. And he goes around and he asks all the animals, was it them who did the poo on his head? And in the end, it turns out that it was a dog. And that's what my hair looked like. It just looked like I had a small turd sitting on top of my head.
let's not bring that back into fashion. I love that. Like you could have
Yeah.
actually asked for that. Can I just have a look? I
Yeah.
want that look with the turd on my head, please? That's the one I want.
That was a bad one. And I think another time I saw someone. I think as you probably know, sometimes the mistake is to covet someone else's hair because it suits
Yes.
them but not you.
Yes,
And I can't remember who it was, but someone had shaved their hair off and had a buzz cut. And I was like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to do
I'm
that.
gonna do that.
And I looked so ugly that even my friend said, I really love you, but you look really ugly.
I love honest friends.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite interesting actually with hair because I don't really change my hair that much. I think as I get older, even
Yeah.
more, that I always kind of try to keep it in a with a certain length. I would
Yeah.
love to be really brave. I always say to my husband Sebastian, I think I might get a really short haircut and bleach it all blonde. And I can see the divorce papers coming out and with his pen in his hand and going like, I don't know. But when do you think that actually happens, that you feel like that you are too old for something?
Well, I think as you get a bit older, you're just so grateful to have hair.
Exactly.
So you think I shouldn't really complain what it looks like or what color it is.
Yeah.
But also, I think you sort of realize actually, on the whole, your natural color has been created to go with your face better than
Yes.
a color that isn't yours.
Yeah. But lots of people don't like it actually.
No,
They
they
want
don't
it to
like
be
it.
different.
I've actually been dying to have, and it's beginning to get their silver hair
Yeah.
because I hate that in between
Yeah.
stage. So it was lovely when it was dark, and now I hate this sort of slightly salt
But
and
it's
pepper
good.
thing. No, but I want
You
more.
want my hair?
Yeah, I know. I did actually dye my hair silver during lockdown,
Really?
and I really liked it, but the maintenance was
But you
hard.
could actually, I had a few highlights done as well in the
Yeah,
front at some point because I had darker hair in the front and
yeah.
then I made it more white. So there are ways of
Oh,
actually doing it
ooh, I
in a
need to
very
try
natural
that.
way. I see you in
Yeah,
the salon next week. I can tell your eyes are like,
I'll be there.
ooh. But also, let's dive into obviously, um, you are. You wrote for Esquire, Wallpaper, Mr. Porter, which is still a big part in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You finished Central St. Martin.
Yep.
You, yeah, that was part of your
Yeah.
education and your studies. So I want to know, and I think all the listeners want to know, how did it actually start? Why did you choose what you do now?
Yeah. Well, I think I fell into loving fashion and
Right.
nightclubs, which is how it started in the
Yeah.
80s. And I think that's because I didn't particularly love my childhood. And then so I bought these magazines like Blitz and The Face, and there was this hedonistic, escapist world where you could wear what you want.
What did you not like about your child?
I mean, it had its moments, but my mother, God bless her, she's still going strong, but she's had 5 marriages so far. So
It's like Elizabeth Taylor.
more Henry VIII, actually.
Did she be head of
Divorced,
all?
beheaded, died. Yeah, there was a lot of comings and goings of husbands, some of whom I
So
liked,
who are
some of
you
whom I
now?
didn't.
Peter, no Tom. What?
I know, it was super confusing, and I was from the first marriage, so I did get to experience all of those. So I think I wanted to escape that a little, and
Right.
fashion offered that escape. You could just be
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
else, be someone else, be somewhere different, and and then I applied to get into St. Martin's to study fashion because I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Yeah.
But then very quickly I realized that cutting clothes and things was not my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But you could specialize in fashion journalism,
Yeah.
and so that's what I did.
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted to dedicate my life to everything that wasn't very important. And I've succeeded.
It's important to a lot of people, darling. It really is. But then, obviously, then you started. I think your first job was with Wallpaper, right?
No, it was I worked for a few magazines like
Right.
Mail Decoration and Tatler
Right.
and then I spent many years at the I went to the Sunday Times, and
Yeah.
then I got made the editor of the Style magazine.
But
So
you still write a column for them.
I still write for the Times.
The Times,
now.
yeah,
So
yeah,
still
yeah.
in that
See, I've done my
family. Yeah.
research. Thank you.
So, and that was really fun because
Yeah.
the style section wrote about, the parties as fashion feature. It was just the world
Yeah.
of the 90s, really, that we
Yeah.
covered in our magazine. And we had amazing writers like Adrian Gill and Michael Winner and Tara Tompkinson and all these
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
Caroline Hearn.
Yeah.
It was, it was a hodgepodge of quite wondrous
Yeah.
things of the moment.
Yeah.
It was a really exciting job.
Yeah, so I mean, back in those days, I mean, there were definitely like so many it girls and all of that. I think it's changed a lot now, right? I think
Yeah,
it's kind
it
of
has changed because there was just suddenly these girls came from nowhere who everyone became obsessed with because they just went to parties and they were fun
yeah,
and Tara Palmer Tompkinson was one of those,
yeah,
and she wrote a column for us, and she didn't write it, but she said she lived it, and we would have to write it for her. We would have to take turns because she was very posh. And you would have to write it obviously as Tara. And then after 3 or 4 weeks of doing that, you'll go and meet your friends in the evening. You go, oh, yeah, should we go and get a cocktail? And you thought, oh my God, I've become Tara. And then you'd have to pass the job on to someone else for a little while.
I love that. I would definitely have to get someone to write something for me, but then I think I speak quite not posh. That definitely not. I would have to get someone off the
No.
street to go like just write something about it. That will do.
Well, the trick is just to write as you talk, and then everyone can write. Really
That's
easily.
true. I remember when I started, so I'm an ambassador for John Frieda in Germany, and at the beginning when I did hair tutorials, they suddenly said, I think we need subtitles. And I was like, what? I speak German. And they were like, no, but nobody understands you because I've got such a strong accent,
Right, yeah.
which I love, And I called a friend of mine who does TV and all of it, and he said, whatever you do, just be yourself. Then they need to get subtitles. Who cares? But
Yeah.
don't try to speak posh because I can't do it. You know what I mean? And I felt like I just have to leave it there.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then how did Mr. Porter, because that is still, because when I did my research on you, it's like you went to Mr. Porter, then you left. Then you went to Mr. Porter, then you left. And now you're with Mr. Porter again. It's like a lot of coming
Well
and going.
spotted.
Why is that?
I've got a really short attention span.
I can tell.
So I did. So when Mr. Porter launched about 15 years ago, and I was
Yeah.
editing Esquire magazine,
Yeah.
as you mentioned then, and I got asked to go and help launch it. And it was really exciting because I've been working in print for so long, and to be
Yeah.
able to go and hop into the digital world
Yeah.
and e-commerce world, which was about storytelling, but also storytelling that had a really obvious function to sell clothes
Yeah.
or to make it easier for men
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
know how to look good. So that was a really exciting world to jump into. And I did that for a few years, and then I went to work at Christie's
Yeah.
auction house for a year.
Yeah.
And then I got asked to go back to Mr. Porter.
Right.
And then I thought, oh gosh, it's 10 years. I'm going to be the Gandalf of fashion. I'll be the oldest person in the fashion world. So I left, and then new owners have just taken it over recently, and they asked me and Toby, who ran it with me, who's the CEO, to go back. And so I've gone back. I mean, it's slightly weird going back to somewhere 5 years later.
Yeah, but you enjoy it. I mean, is it
I
like
do love
something
it.
you are?
It is a bit like my baby. And
Yeah,
when I went
yeah.
back in the spring, I'm even sat at the same desk.
No way. They kept it all these years
I
with
know.
like plants and a picture of you. Oh,
I
Jeremy.
think they thought I just popped out for a sandwich, and it was a huge queue. And then I came back to my desk.
Is he coming back? Anybody? Is
Yeah.
he coming
How
back?
much does that man eat for lunch?
I love that. But I think also in a sense, like obviously you do TV, you give fashion advice. What would be your biggest fashion advice for men?
Well, I mean, I think what's so nice about today, and it sounds like a cop-out, but is there are no rules. And you
Yeah.
just wear what you want
Yeah.
and wear what makes you feel comfortable. But I think because I hate rules, they should always be broken. But
Yeah.
I think two things is everyone wants to dress to express themselves, which is really important.
Yeah.
But also remember, sometimes it's nice to dress to make the people you're with feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes gets forgotten. So if you're going to go and interview someone, or if
Yeah.
you're going into someone else's environment, be you, but also maybe make them comfortable. It's just good manners.
Yeah, I
sort of
definitely
feel.
think so. But it's also, I think it's actually a confidence thing. I mean, I've got not really outrageous clothes because I'm quite like dressed down the most of the days,
Mm.
but I've got some outfits. I have to feel really good about them.
Yeah.
Because even like, I want to feel like Naomi Campbell walking down the street wearing them, because people then look at you. And
Yeah.
sometimes I need this oof, oof in my step because sometimes
Yeah.
I don't have that and I
Sure.
just really want to blend in. Do you have that as well?
Yeah, we need that sometimes. Sometimes you want to hide away with clothes. don't
Yeah.
You. I mean, I used to work with Isabella Blow, who's this very.
Oh, God, what a legend.
And she was a legend, and obviously she dressed extraordinarily,
Yeah.
extravagantly.
Yeah.
But her and hats were her thing, as you know. But she dressed to hide. She didn't like the way she looked. She didn't like some of the life she'd led, and so clothes were her mask. So, I mean, I remember once she went to a dinner and she wore this complete headdress, and the people sat either side of her couldn't talk to her because they couldn't see her face or her mouth.
That's unbelievable. But I mean,
know, but I
obviously,
love that
she
about
she
her.
also dressed so extraordinary, like that she stood out everywhere she went. I remember she used to come sometimes to John Frieda, and when she opened the door, everyone just turned and went,
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
It was amazing, and even when she used to come into our very grotty offices at the time at News International, where the Sunday Times
yeah,
was, because she was my fashion director. She wore the ginormous hats, antlers coming out of her shoulders. I mean, the newspaper men were terrified of her. Um,
it's amazing the power you've got when you wear certain clothes.
she
It can be
really
quite
did. I mean,
intimidating.
some of the clothes could actually have killed people because they had spikes coming out of them. So it was a dangerous
Different
outfit.
time, right?
A different time.
I did actually think about today this morning when I woke up, I was like, okay, Jeremy's coming. Andreas, focus now. I thought, like, is it allowed to wear black with dark blue and white
I love
socks?
black and blue. You look super chic. Yeah.
Thank you. See,
And the
thank
loose
you.
pant that's very in fashion at the moment.
Thank you. Oh my God. I'm really happy now because I did think I never thought about it as much as this morning.
Well, and also navy, and actually that's almost like a dark navy, even if it's black. But navy's actually, as you get older, I'm not saying you're getting older, but as you get older, navy's the most flattering color a man can wear, I think.
It is.
Yeah, it's
Why is
really
that?
flattering as your skin gets older. More flattering than
Oh.
black.
I love it that everyone in the room, Simon, my producer, is like nodding. Take notes, everybody. Take notes,
But it really
everybody.
is, yeah.
Yeah, so
See,
but how do you feel like fashion changed? Because I'm always going on about, and then I had Val Garland on this series, the
I
famous
saw,
makeup
yeah.
artist, and we were talking about that I was in Ibiza and all the girls looked the same with the same hair and makeup and blah blah blah, and then she just looked at me and said, "Because you're old." And I was like, I needed therapy after that, by the way. I was traumatized. But do you feel the same? How do you feel about the way fashion is at the moment?
What I really love about fashion is obviously it's always cyclical, and there's been a lot of play with gender norms and men
Yeah,
wearing skirts
yeah,
and dresses,
yeah,
and of course that's what we all wore in the 80s, and it's all come round
yeah,
again. And I love that people are experimenting with
yeah,
that, and it makes me really happy to
yeah,
see people are being so brave and playing around with things.
yeah.
And also at the other end of a scale, it's nice to see men who dress more conservatively but more confidently now. And I think that was the internet, because guys, we're quite fragile egos and yet
Mm,
also a little bit vain, and we're terrified of getting it wrong.
mm,
And yet, until recently, and maybe even still to a large point, men don't ask each other about how to dress or what to wear, particularly
mm,
of a certain generation. And so the internet came along, and fashion sites like Mr. Porter and
mm,
Instagram,
mm,
where you could sort of see how other men are dressing, but you'd
mm.
have to ask them. So we were like these silent voyeurs of how to dress. And I think that's why men have got more adventurous and braver, because they can see how it works on other people.
I never thought like that actually, because it's true. When I go on Instagram or whatever, I
Yeah.
see men, and I would actually then buy it because I
Yeah.
like the look
True.
before, obviously. But I always really happy when I see someone standing out on the street. It makes me happy
Mm,
when I see someone. I mean, especially when I got friends coming from Germany, because people are not as cool, I think, sometimes in Germany. And
sure.
then when I got friends come, they go, "Oh my God, he looks amazing." I'm like, I don't really see it anymore
Mm,
because it's so normal in
yeah,
London.
it
And
is. Yeah.
that's what I love about. But do you enjoy like your TV experience, like appearances when you make them up? Because you do like makeovers, right?
Well,
You
so
do,
I've a few times on this more ITV this morning.
yeah.
They don't do much menswear because it's mainly female audience for
Oh,
this
they
morning.
should.
And poor guys,
Hello,
we never get a look in.
important.
I know it's really unfair. We're still, even in the newspapers, the menswear coverage is so
Yeah.
small compared to women's wear coverage. So it is quite fun to do. I mean, the good thing about this morning is very tight budgets, and I'm mostly working the sort of luxury end of menswear at Mr. Porter. Whereas when you're styling guys for this morning, really you can't have anything that's over 100 quid for an outfit. So
Must be a
it's
challenge.
really good for me actually to see what the high street brands are doing,
Yeah.
and actually most of them really, there's some great stuff out there
My God, yeah.
at affordable prices.
Yeah.
And also I have to style they're normal people that you have to style.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all these guys who volunteered to come on the TV. Quite fun.
Sebastian just actually bought a pair of trousers for Marks and Spencer for 20 quid, and I was so impressed because
Really good
jeans.
quality, really
And you
good
know
quality
what? You would
evidence.
never know. I because I yelled at him. I was like, "You don't need another pair of jeans. You
True.
spend too much money." And then when he told me, I was like, "Oh."
M&S
So
menswear really
every
good.
color.
Uniqlo menswear really good. Uniqlo jeans really good quality
Yeah.
denim. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So also you wrote a book, A Shameless Guide, How to Look Your Best.
I think so. Yeah, something like that.
How long
Shameless
ago?
guide for men who want to look their
Want to
best.
look
Yeah,
that? Oh, sorry,
yeah,
I forgot
yeah,
one word.
yeah.
How long ago was that?
I wrote because I was bored during lockdown, so that's when I wrote the book.
And how did that do?
And I mean, it's available in all good recycling units. So
Stop it. No, but I think we need more of that in the world. I think men are sometimes really forgotten, and there's a lot of men who need help.
yeah.
I think it's
I
important.
think you're right, and the reason I did it was because, as I said, men don't talk about it with each other more, and yet they should, and we should help each other.
Yeah.
And I'll go to dinner parties or whatever, and there'll be lots of guys who maybe worked in finance.
Do you judge them?
No, I don't judge them, but they would be too embarrassed. Like a lot of men, as you will know, worry about losing their hair.
Yeah.
And I would hear these guys talking to each other about losing their hair.
Yeah.
But no one would really suggest, even though half of them probably had tried, Hims spray or
Yeah.
minoxidil or
Yeah.
one of or they didn't talk about hair transplants.
Yeah.
It was always like, oh no, you didn't talk about things like that. So I thought, oh come on. So then I did a book which talked about all the things you can do that can make you look better.
Yeah.
Whether that's facial treatments or hair transplants.
Yeah.
And I had a hair transplant probably
You had one.
I had a small one, yeah.
Oh.
Well, it was I didn't plan on having one. I was actually because I write about
I had a plan. I walked down the
I
street
fell into
and
the
I
chair.
suddenly had a hair transplant. I woke up with more hair. What?
That's almost true.
What do you mean? You
I
did?
I write or did write about grooming for the Times,
Yeah.
and then they asked me to go and interview this very good hair transplant surgeon on
Yeah.
Holly Street. And I was interviewing him, and I said, "Well, I don't know huge amounts about this subject, and also I'm very blessed. I've never needed one." And I could see sort of him go a bit quiet,
Yeah.
and they said, "Well, actually, your hair has receded quite a bit," and I hadn't noticed because
But that's
it
maybe a
had
good thing.
receded so slowly. He said, "Well, let me just draw on your head where your hairline would have been at one point."
Yeah.
So then he got a marker out, and he drew this line on my, and of course, as soon as you see what you haven't got, you want it.
Yeah.
So I said, "I'm having that back then, please."
Oh my God, yeah.
And so I did it, and it was probably about that much.
Really?
So an inch and a half.
But you would never know. I did not know.
One of the best things I've ever did. I mean, it was one of the nicest day outs I've had for a start.
Was it painful?
No, because they give you so many pain-killing drugs.
Even
So
better.
high as a kite. You
Even
watch
better.
TV for 8 hours, eating Haribo. They do all the hard work, and it was one of the most relaxing
Oh
days
my
I've
God,
ever
so
had.
and you walk out like Rapunzel.
And well, you walk out. Look, I look like Kim Il Jong at the beginning because they shave off the side of your hair, and it's a
Yeah.
bit of a peculiar look. But then suddenly you've got hair,
Oh my God.
and people need to know it's not as bad as they might think.
Yeah, but I think now people talk much, much more about it. I mean, if someone says I've been to Turkey, I get really suspicious. I always look at them and I go, what's the deal
I
here,
know.
you know? But I think it's changed a lot. I still blame the only way is Essex for all the white teeth and the hair transplants.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it changed a lot. The whole
It has
because
changed a lot. And the white
apparently
teeth,
in Essex, a lot of men they definitely look after themselves quite.
And I like
you know,
that about
me
those
too.
guys. They're unashamedly
Me too.
want to change bits they don't like, and obviously you have to get the balance right.
Yeah.
And it can't be too much neuroses. It must
Yeah.
be a balanced decision. But if you can take a paracetamol for a headache, why shouldn't you take
Yeah,
something that
definitely.
improves something you don't like?
I'm still thinking about it, so I will maybe have
You've
to
got
do
a
it.
good head of hair.
Thank you. You're very kind. You can definitely come on. You can come back. I want you back.
You're very kind. But but the thing I think, and it's changed a bit, but I always noticed the most was weddings. And when you go to a wedding anywhere, whether it's in London or in the country,
Yeah.
and let's say you're all staying in the same hotel near where
Yeah.
the wedding's taking place in the church, and you all come down in the morning, you're in the foyer of the hotel,
Yeah.
waiting to get the coach or the bus
Yeah.
to the wedding itself. And everyone looks amazing. Men are wearing suits they don't wear so often these days.
Yeah.
And the women are all dressed up and their hair looks amazing. And the girls and women all say to each other, God, you look beautiful. Where was your dress from? I love those shoes.
Yeah.
The way you've done your
Yeah.
hair. And the guys who haven't seen their friends or acquaintances dressed up so smartly for months, maybe years, look at each other and just go, all right,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
true.
All right.
Not the gays. We always go like
Yeah.
shoes, Tom Ford, jacket, Dolce & Gabbana. It's like, I mean, it's definitely, you can't
There is a
wait.
divide.
It's almost
Yeah.
like the Oscars. I think I even do like a little twirl sometimes and go like, this is that, like completely
But that's good.
advertising
It's
campaign.
tracing.
So that is very sure. It's important.
Yeah.
So also I would love to chat about, you've got your own podcast.
Yeah.
How long have you got.
Yeah.
Just changing the mood slightly
Yes.
now, which you started with Sarah,
Hmm.
who was your co-host, who sadly passed away to cancer last year, which I'm terribly sorry about.
Thank you.
I myself suffered with cancer, and you still suffer with cancer. Um, could you talk a little bit more about why you started your podcast?
Of course. Well, I'd moved up to the Lake District during lockdown, and then shortly after that was diagnosed with prostate cancer,
Hmm.
and which happens.
Yeah.
And I'd had surgery. I had a radical prostatectomy, and then they thought the cancer gone, and then
Hmm.
a few months later it started growing again. So then I did radiotherapy
Hmm.
and hormone therapy, which I hated. But while I was
Why
going,
did you hate it?
because in a way, the surgery, ouch,
Yeah.
great, but it's you get through it.
Yeah.
Radiotherapy, okay, it's every day for 7 weeks. It's
Yeah.
insane,
Yeah.
but you get through it. But the hormone therapy was for 2 years. So you're on this
What is
hormone
it, like
therapy.
tablets or?
It could be injection or a tablet. I did two different ones. And what it does, because testosterone feeds prostate cancer, so basically it cuts off your testosterone.
Right.
And there are worse things, of course, but the side effects from that I loathe. It makes you a bit depressed, or it can do.
Uh,
Your body hair falls out, you get night sweats. It's like the menopause for men, really. I
right.
mean, poor women have this anyway.
Yeah.
It gives you a bit of a brain fog.
Right.
So, anyway, I hate it. I didn't feel myself
Right.
for that 2 years. Sarah lived near me. I didn't know her, but she'd seen on Instagram, because
Yeah.
she'd written for the Times about
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
cancer journey,
Yeah.
and got in touch. And I thought, it's a bit weird meeting someone I don't know to talk about cancer, just because she has cancer too. Well, I met her, and she was just this bundle of energy and light. And we used to go off and have lots of lunches where we just talk about it. We're both really honest and forthright.
Yeah.
And we decided there were so many things you don't get told when you're having cancer, about the treatment, the side effects,
Yeah.
how you feel. And we thought, well, it's really annoying that we've got this, and let's try and turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
So why don't we do a podcast where we share some of the things we've gone through, bring on different people and
Yeah.
experts, and create a community for people who are living
Yeah.
with cancer.
Which is so important.
Yeah, and so we did it, and it was quite a strong title. How long have you got? But it
But
was
it was catchy.
it was catchy, and we wanted to be just really honest and no nonsense.
Yeah.
And when you get cancer, the first thing you want to know, and the first
Yeah.
thing other people want to know, is how long have you got. The one thing no one ever tells you is how long have you got.
That's
So
true.
it's the
But
answer you
that's
want.
maybe that's better. I wouldn't want
but
to
you
know.
never get. Well, they don't know is the honest truth, because everybody
Yeah.
is
It's just
so different. So we did the podcast, and then and built up a really lovely community. And I think nice things happen out of bad things.
Yeah,
And
very
and one of the lovely things that happened with getting cancer was genuinely met so many wonderful. I saw so much kindness in the world that
Yeah.
I didn't always see, and the medical community, the
Yeah.
care community, the cancer community. I don't know
Yeah.
if you found so many lovely,
Yeah.
supportive people who came to help each other, and we had such amazing, strong, and brave men and women who came on the podcast to talk about their stories, and it was a really wonderful thing to get some sense out of what we were going through and get some purpose out of it.
Yeah.
And then after about 17 episodes, Sarah, who was only 38, became very, very ill.
Yeah.
And so we stopped recording, and then she died.
Mm.
So I didn't want to do the podcast without her. It was our thing. And
Mm.
Sarah was much better at it than me. It was the heart of it was her.
Mm.
And so I stopped. And then Sarah's mum, who had cared and looked after Sarah, and it was a nasty, painful death for her, said to me when I would visit Sarah in the last few weeks or days of her life, and it said, no one ever talks about what it's like looking after someone at home
Yeah.
who's dying,
Yeah.
and all the hidden things that you have to deal with. And when I'm ready, I think we should do one more final episode. And a few weeks ago, a year after
You
Sarah
did. I
died,
saw it.
we recorded it, and it was a tough gig. But I think it's important because I think one of the things Sarah and I want to do, and I still very strongly believe in, is A, there is very little death literacy in this country. We don't talk about death. We don't like to think about
Yeah,
it. But it happens to us all.
yeah,
And the thing with cancer is some people do and some people don't talk about it,
yeah,
particularly, again, men,
yeah,
and about prostate cancer or
yeah,
because the side effects of prostate cancer treatment can be, can take away your sex life. It can change the shape of your body. So it
yeah,
can change a lot of you. And
yeah,
that's really hard, or can be
yeah.
really hard to deal with. So I just have always felt it's important to talk about these things. And so I've continued doing that without the podcast, is,
Which I
writing
think
about
it's
it.
so, because I remember that I think I would have got another cancer if I wouldn't have talked about.
Yeah.
I really felt that
So
when
did you
I
talk
had
about
it.
it when it happened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I had so many funny moments as well because I disappeared obviously for 3 months because it was horrible when I had tongue cancer and then,
Mm.
you go through. I did.
What was your treatment for that?
So I only had radiotherapy
Yeah.
because luckily I didn't have to do chemo
Good.
because I sent a report. I was very fortunate to
Hmm.
have incredible friends who have incredible doctors around them, and I sent a report to New York and to Germany and one in England, and they all came back and said, "Don't do the chemo."
Oh,
And
really?
I still wasn't sure, and I remember
Sure.
that day when I was with the cancer nurse and the nutritionist and all. And then I said to her, what am I going to do? And they said, we can't help you with that. It's your decision. And because it would be a 7% less chance for the cancer to come back.
Mm.
Then I said, I never forget, I said to the cancer nurse, I said, what would you tell your brother? Hold
Well, it's a good question, though, Andreas.
hold on. Right. I knew that would happen. I had therapy about that. That shouldn't happen.
It's normal.
Right. Yeah, and I said to her, "What would you tell your brother?" And then she said, "I would tell my brother not to do it." And then I decided not to do it,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
But I remember that it was like, first of all, of getting told that you have cancer, which was,
Hmm.
I think, the most traumatic thing for me. And then, but there were also, I remember that moment when they were saying, because they had to take the lymph nodes out of my neck. And I said, so where's going to be the scar then?
Mm.
And Sebastian looked at me and he was kind of like just shaking his head. And I knew that obviously he was thinking what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, we cut it in the grease of your neck." And I went, "Excuse me?" And he said, "Of course you don't have a grease in your neck." And I said, "Thank you, right answer." But also when there was like, "Oh, so you will maybe lose your beard hair and all of that," and it was so traumatic for you,
Mm.
for me. So
Mm.
did you lose any hair?
Well, no, I haven't so far, fingers crossed, had to do chemotherapy. But when you take the hormone therapy, you're obviously the testosterone goes,
Yeah,
so you lose all your body hair.
yeah.
So, but luckily, not the hair on my head, which I was thrilled because it cost a fortune. So,
I was just gonna go back. I was gonna be like, "Oh my God, I'm glad that you didn't lose all
fingers crossed.
the hard
No,
work."
exactly.
But
But
yeah,
but to your point, you're right, because you're given a lot of choices, and
yeah,
you weren't a doctor or an expert, and
yeah,
neither am I, and yet you have to make these decisions about
yeah,
your future. And they said to you, "We can't make that decision for you." You
yeah.
think, well, how the hell do I make
How
that
do I know? I'm
decision?
a hairdresser.
That's a
I,
really hard bit of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it really was, but it helped a lot. And again, as well, I can't thank enough the people around me, the support and all of
Mm.
that. But I remember also, like when you have, because I had tongue cancer for the radiotherapy, they bowled you to this table
Ooh.
with this mask, which was, I
I've
looked
seen
like
that's horror.
Hannibal
It's
Lecter. It
really
was
scary.
the
Yeah.
most horrific thing I've ever been through. Also, when they mold the mask. And I remember I had to lie there for 45 minutes, and this nurse came up to me, and she meant so well, and I loved her for it, but I hated her for it at the same
Of
time
course.
because she stroked me, and I hate
Yeah.
to be touched in a way, but
Right.
not always, obviously, at the right time for everything.
I know.
No, and I remember, and then she was talking to me, "Oh, you're doing so well." And I remember the thing came off, and I said, "Don't ever do that again. Do not touch me, please. And also don't talk to me like a bloody child."
Mm.
And she was mortified.
Oh,
She meant so
of
well, but
course
I
they
was
do.
so angry with that I was so like lying there and I couldn't help to do
Yeah.
anything, right? And I said, "Make a note. make a note for all the rest of the nurses not to do that. And I remember what you mentioned as well. Obviously, they tell you the side effects. I thought I would get away with not having any side effects. And the doctor said before, like during the radiotherapy, after 2 weeks, it will kick in. And it was like 2.5 weeks. And then I was like, oh, it's happening, and then I got burned, and I had blisters in my mouth. I couldn't eat anymore. I lost a lot of weight. I always wanted to be skinny, but that in the end I was like 64 kilos or something. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
And then there was this wonderful Indian nurse, and she was quite a prop with me always. And then I said to her at some point, I said, I think you could be a little bit nicer. I'm suffering. She said, but darling, it's in your report. It says like, do not talk to
really?
them. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, you can pencil it out now. I need all the love I can get now. So yeah.
So funny.
But how was the journey? How did you feel when they told you?
It was on the way to a mutual friend of ours' wedding when I found out.
Okay.
It doesn't seem real. I don't know about you. The worst part was, they said you got cancer, but they didn't know how bad it was, and
Right.
and it was the waiting and all the testing and the scans, and
Yeah.
oh my God, and unfortunately, I do have an aggressive high-grade cancer. But luckily, it hadn't spread apart from to a couple of lymph nodes.
Yeah.
A bit like you, I think
Which they took out then.
24 lymph nodes went.
Do you know how many lymph nodes? Didn't
There's
know.
so many in the
We got
body, I
lymph
didn't
nodes
even
because
know.
I said, okay, leave me
Yeah.
some, but we got
Yeah.
lymph nodes around our eyes and everything. I didn't know that.
I didn't know anything. I didn't even know really what a prostate was, to be honest. So that was all quite peculiar.
I think I knew that.
But then I just got bored. I just got bored. I did all that, and then it came back. And then when I came off the hormone therapy in the spring, and I went back to work, and I thought, oh, good, hopefully it's gone. But when you're on hormone therapy, it masks the signs of cancer. So you
Right.
can't tell whether the treatment's worked.
Right.
So then you have to wait for it to come out of your body. So then in the September, a couple of months ago, I went back to test again, and then they said, oh, it's growing again. But it's small, and I feel fine. I won't have to do any treatment till next year. And you become thankful for small mercies. So, oh, great, no treatment this year.
Yeah.
And I feel really happy.
Yeah.
And also, as my friend Sarah, who died, and she was going through quite brutal treatment. And I said, I'm so sorry you're having all this treatment. She said, if you're having treatment, it means you're alive. And
Oh my
that was a
God,
really
yeah.
good way of looking at it. So
That is a very good way of living, looking at it,
Yeah.
100%. But also remember, like when my therapy was over, because the doctor said, the suffering or the worst comes out after when you finish the radiotherapy. And luckily, my dear friend who's got this extraordinary, beautiful house in south of France, she said, go there to recover. And I remember that when her driver picked us up, it all sounds terrible, well, it kind of is, but no, when he picked me up, he didn't recognize me because I was so skinny and
Yeah.
it was just all horrible. And I got so depressed that I remember one time, I don't know why I'm crying all the time.
it's an emotional subject. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I should have taken a Valium before this. No, I remember that I said to Sebastian at some point, because I suffered so much, that I said, you know what, if I would go now, I would happily go because this is ridiculous. So I can understand when people actually refuse doing therapy. I would never judge. Before I did, I was kind of like, come
Yeah.
on, it's your life.
Yeah.
You need to. But I totally understand. Do you feel how
I
you feel
did,
about that?
because I so hated the hormone therapy that after a year, I stopped it. I said to the oncologist, I'm just not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not happy. And they were obviously looked a bit concerned. And then 3 months later, good on them, they rang me and said, look, we've been thinking about it. We're really worried. You need to be on it.
Yeah.
We'll try a different one, and maybe you'll feel a bit better with that. And
Yeah.
actually, it was.
And you do.
Still hated it, but it was better than the one
And you did.
before. So I did finish it, and
Yeah.
then probably have to go back on it next year. But next year's next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean that's definitely.
I know.
I think that's the way to see it, right? Because do you feel like you
Chapters.
exactly?
Yeah.
But do you feel like you changed your life in any way?
Yes, I think it made me a nicer person. And the weird thing is, because I'm always having to go for scans, injections, blood tests.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your life. On your lunch break, running off to go and do this, and
Yeah.
going back to your desk to sell some cashmere clothes. But but when I go to Guy's Cancer Centre, life's all about the mix, is what I've realised.
Yes.
Um, But I go to Guy's Cancer Centre, and I know it's really weird, but it's become, in a way, my happy place, because the people there are so lovely, and they
Yeah,
have looked after me, and they have
yeah,
kept me alive,
yeah.
and I don't dread going there. It's just yay! It's the nice people at Guy's Cancer Centre, so I never dread going there for anything.
I think, and I can thank them all again on here actually now, I thought everyone I met was extraordinary. I mean, I thought they were so amazing the way they look after you, how kind they are, and how honest they were
Yeah,
as well, like
yeah.
with that whole journey. But
Mm,
I remember as well when I went to the Macmillan Center I went to Shepherd's Hammersmith
yeah.
to the Charing Cross Hospital. And that was really odd because we had this meeting there, and then she said, "You can come here anytime you want." And I was like, I don't think I want to be a member of this club. So I couldn't handle that, the
Yeah,
people around me, because
yeah.
also there were people. I always felt really sorry for the guys who had prostate cancer because before radio you have to drink like, what is 2 liters of water?
Oh, you have to do an enema. You have to
Ex-
drink loads of
I
water.
was like, I'm glad it's
I
in my
know.
face.
I
I
know.
don't have to
Every
do
day
it.
it was this really.
And yeah.
People say, "Oh, should we come with you?" I was going, "No."
No, I don't. Sebastian came with me every day, actually, which I thought it was amazing that he
Yeah.
came with me every single day.
Well, I went by myself, and then and while I was doing, I'm so unlucky sometimes, but when I was doing the radiotherapy, I got blood poisoning. So then I was
Oh
hospitalized for a
my
week,
God.
where on all these drips. But the other good thing about Guy's Cancer Centre, it's right next to Borough Market. And when I was stuck in hospital, all these drips, and I was so bored, and I said, "Oh, please, can I go for a little walk in the corridor?" And they said,
Yeah.
"Well, you're not allowed to." And I said, "Just a little walk to exercise my legs." So took the drips off. And I got into the corridor, looked around, no one was looking, and I ran to Borough Market to the bread ahead stall and got 6 donuts, and then rushed back,
You are
hid,
so
quickly wiped
naughty.
sugar off my mouth, and then got back because the food's inedible, obviously, in hospital. So I was so lucky being near the Borough Market, and I
There,
would escape there.
there used to be a German deli, actually, so I would have got a currywurst or something there. So, but one more time,
Mm.
the whole journey now. So how is that for you now? So you kind of obviously are you more used to it now? Are you scared of death?
I'm more used to it, yes. I thought I wasn't scared of death. I'm not scared of, but my friend Sarah and sadly another friend of mine passed away earlier this week
Oh,
from
I'm so
cancer.
sorry.
I've been,
Yeah,
so it's been quite a year, and the deaths were not nice. So
yeah.
dying is
Mm,
brutal from that
mm,
disease, or can
mm.
be, yeah. Um,
And it hangs over you. I feel like because I remember when they told me the first thing I said, "Am I going to die?" And they said no. And then I mean, it's this kind of like that end with so when someone tells you you've got 2 months or it's terminal or all of that. It's
yeah,
like I
I
can't
think you
even
can't
imagine.
imagine it until you're going through it. But both
Yeah,
Sarah and Rachel, I saw them very much until the end.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
tough. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got a better understanding now when you are around people who suffer with cancer?
Yes, I wasn't very good in hospitals now, and now I feel it's a humbling thing and such an honor
Yeah,
to make people's lives more comfortable, or to distract them with
yeah,
fun and laughter
because
in
that's
their
what it's
last
all
few
about.
weeks, and that's the best thing you can do to help
Yeah,
them. So it's draining though
yeah,
emotionally,
yeah,
but it's a nice thing to be able to do for your friends.
yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think, and then we're gonna move on
Yeah.
in a way that it is so important. That's why I invited you, because I thought I need you on this podcast to talk about, because you make it very open. You talk about it a lot,
Hmm.
and I think especially for men, I think it's so important to really get it out there and not hide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone can obviously it's their own choice, but I think it's so important because if people check more their bodies or get
Yeah.
more scans done, hopefully we can
Well, exactly.
prevent.
Check your PSA
Yeah,
levels when you're over 50, and
yeah,
everyone's way of dealing with it is the right way.
yeah.
And my way was never bloody stop talking about it. Poor everyone.
Same.
It was banging on about it. But it's 1 in 2 people is going to either have or be affected by
Yeah,
cancer. So we can't pretend it doesn't happen.
yeah,
And I think we have to
yeah,
talk about it
yeah,
as an everyday part of many of our lives.
yeah. No, that's very true. I mean, obviously, I wish you all the best with your
Thank you.
with your treatment, and I'm very happy to bring you donuts to your hospital. So what are you gonna hope for? What's gonna happen now with Jeremy next year? What's the deal? What's the plan? Another book?
Well, I do want to do another book. I mean, I'm so happy going back to work because, when you go through all this, a sense of normality,
I was gonna say the same.
and I got so bored of being Cancer Man,
Yeah,
and I was so happy and honored that I was
yeah,
asked to go back to
yeah,
Mr. Paul. So I love working.
yeah.
My energy levels are fine. Everyone's very supportive.
You look
So
unbelievable. I mean, you
thank
would
you.
never know.
Well, thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
but I'm really enjoying work. I am writing a book about my mother's many marriages.
Ah,
So that's the book I'm working on at the moment. And it sounds so corny and cliche, but I think having seen what's happened to my friends and having been through what we've both been through,
yeah,
and I know it's a cliche, but you do think I am going to live for the moment. And
yeah,
how lucky I am. It's a tough world out there, but if we can bring some joy by making people feel good with a haircut or good with the clothes they
yeah,
buy. And actually, as I mentioned to you, so many of the women, particularly who came on the podcast that I was doing with Sarah, the subject they often wanted to talk about was how to look your best when you're going through chemo, or when you
yeah,
lose your hair, or when you lose your eyebrows, or
yeah.
and it's not a frivolous subject.
Oh my God, no! It's
Just because you're
so
ill doesn't always mean you don't want to feel the best that you can.
yeah,
Psychologically, it can really help you.
yeah,
So, although they sound at two extremes of life, they're often holding hands, those two things,
yeah.
looking good and feeling good.
But I think it's definitely so important to feel your best. I think it's all
Yeah,
about that.
really
I
helps.
mean, I did think a lot. I mean, Sebastian would kind of, I guess, agree with that. I did think that, oh my God, I must become a different person now because what I've been through, and I
Yeah.
still get annoyed about the same shit. And sometimes I'm like, for sake, Andreas, why am I so annoyed about
Yeah.
that I sit at the wrong table in the restaurant, or this is wrong and all. But then I'm actually quite happy that,
Yeah.
I remember one friend at one point, we were in a restaurant and I didn't sit, I love to sit in the middle of the table. Everyone, all my friends now said, don't put baby in the corner. I don't like this. I like to entertain and host. And I was like, so they were all there already. And I walked in and I was like, no, 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 I need to
Yeah.
sit there. And I could see everyone was so happy
Yeah.
because, and then one
That was
friend went,
huge.
oh my God, the bitch is back, move everybody. And it made me very happy that,
Yeah.
and they were really happy that
Yeah.
I suddenly, obviously, I was back. So
Good.
that is very, very good.
I think it's important, and clothes really affect the way that you feel. And
Yeah,
my body changed shape the whole time. So when you're
yeah,
on the hormone therapy, or as radio,
yeah,
so I put
yeah,
on weight because weird testosterone stuff,
yeah.
lose weight. And oh, great! I've not only got cancer, I've got fat. I mean, I thought you got thin with cancer. It was so annoying. And one of those two, but not both. So,
Just make it stop.
so I have
Oh
to
my
work out different
God.
ways of wearing clothes at different stages that my body went through.
But I actually really remember going back, like when I lost all this weight, I was not happy. It wasn't me, but also because I lost all my muscles as well. So I
Yeah,
was
true.
kind of this slightly like all of that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So, but I'm very excited about the book. Good luck with that.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
very looking forward to,
Thank you,
and
Andreas.
I really, from the bottom of my heart, wish you all the best.
And
And
you.
let's have dinner soon.
That would be lovely.
Not to talk about cancer. You can drink, right?
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that was an
The
I
oncologist
was
said,
like,
don't give up anything you like. So I haven't. Yeah.
God, I remember that was the hardest thing, like not to drink for a long time.
I
But I can't thank you enough
Thank
for
you for
being
having
so
me.
open, being
Not at
so
all.
honest, and so direct, talking about what is very important
Pleasure.
to me and to you, and for coming on.
Thank
You
you.
so much, Jeremy.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.